What is your favourite episode of season two? And we'll start in reverse this time. We'll go with Clara.
So this is a really complicated question. It's hard. I don't think there's
Yeah.
really any duds in season two of Babylon 5. I think the storytelling is exceptional. And even the episodes that maybe aren't necessarily people's favorites, I don't think you'd call them bad episodes. So I had a bit of a problem. I went through quite a few. Now for a Word, which is, the sort of episode that sort of focuses on a news crew coming to Babylon 5. That was really good. Confessions and Lamentations, of course, which is another favorite one of mine. And Comes Inquisitor. It's a bit weird, a bit freaky, a bit creepy, but I always love it. But I think I settled on the Long Twilight Struggle. I just because it's where the sort of storyline to do with Londo and the war between the Centauri and the Narn really takes a turn and becomes something quite different than a war between two different groups, and becomes basically, I would say, can you say the word genocide? It becomes an annihilation of the Narns. And the use of mass drivers just really is a great plot point that this terrible weapon that everyone's agreed not to use, and the Centauri go forward and use it against all the treaties they've made with everybody. And it's really the downfall, beginning of the downfall, halfway through the downfall, on the way to the downfall of Londo, who's my favorite character at the moment. So it's just, and also a great speech by Shakar at the end of it as well.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that episode might be mentioned quite a few times today. Medusa, your favourite episode of season two?
Think there's only one answer for me, and that's always going to be the Coming of Shadows. Not only because my favorite person in the world makes a surprise appearance midway through the episode, but it's also the introduction of the Rangers. We get more mythology and background into where Jeff's been, what he's been doing. It kind of ties, or even in a way ties some loose threads from season one together, but then expands on it and creates this whole new mythology that you weren't aware of was even going on in the background. And it kind of sets the wheels in motion for me. And it just brings in that kind of element of surprise. It also makes you think, well, hang on, what else is going on that we don't know about yet? Because it just comes from nowhere. More secrets start to unravel as we go through. We also get the Reefer Londo scenes within that episode, which I just think are unbelievable. We see how they thrive for more power on Centauri Prime. We have the Emperor that comes, and all he wants to do is kind of reconcile with Jakar, and we get some fabulous scenes on that front. We also get to see the Emperor with Kosh and the whole conversation about things ending in fire, and that kind of gets your mind wearing as well. We get that unbelievable scene with Jakar buying Londo a drink, which for me is probably one of the best scenes of the entire season. It's just a beautiful moment to watch. And I mean, Londo doesn't have to say a word, and just everything is just in his face, and it is just mesmerizing to watch it. We also get the first stirrings of conflict between Londo and Via in this episode, where Via really starts to call him out on some of his decision making, especially in regard to Reefer. And it's just for me, it's when everything starts to ramp up a little bit more. And I think this is where I personally was like, oh, there's more to this than what I actually expected there to be. And this is the episode that drew me in, so I'd probably have to go with that one.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer indeed. Zach, how about you? Favourite episode of season two?
Yeah, this is a great season of television, so it's hard to pick. So favorite, more subjective than best, right? One that I go to a lot is In the Shadow of Zahadum. I think that's a real great one because it kind of pulls Morden into the greater story. He'd been kind of this side character, like kind of just with Londo and just with him, and then to kind of pull him in because Sheridan recognizes him. Of course, that blows open the whole thing. And just the escalation of Sheridan trying to like get him, and he's in the cell, and Garibaldi's like, "Look, man, like we can't do this forever." And then you got to the point where like Kosh and Delenn are pulling him aside, and just really add some intrigue and backstory to Sheridan, and really you understand his motivation because this is like this his wife is such a huge part of his backstory, and of course they talk about it a little bit before, but like you really zone in on it here, and I just think it's a really great episode, and then Morden's such a great character, and this is I mean this is his biggest one episode probably up to this point in the series. Again, he just had these one-off scenes with Londo here and there in the shadows, and to have him be confronted by Sheridan for so long, and then of course, having to the end, as well, him getting out and all that stuff. So I just think it's a really, really powerful episode. There's so many episodes of the season are like, and keep ratcheting up the gears of the intrigue and expanding the world, and this is just another one of those instances, and this is just one that I've always gravitated to, that I would, if I had to pick one, which is really hard, I'd probably pick this one.
Yeah, it is such a great episode, and it is really hard to kind of just pinpoint one episode in this season. What about you, Matt?
So I'm going to have to go, I agree with Clara and also Baz in saying that the Long Twilight Struggle, because I think it's one of my maybe top 3 favorite episodes of the entire show. There's that moment where season 2 is obviously a big step up in terms of quality of just everything, acting, writing, and special effects. And I just feel that moment, the sort of the battle in the Long Twilight Struggle is look, this is what we can do, and it's bloody good, and it's better than what anybody else is doing. And at the same time, it's got some of those powerful, like, dramatic moments and real gut punches with G'Kar and the council scene. So hands down, my favorite episode of the season by a long shot.
Excellent. What about you, PJ?
So as everyone said, it's hard to pick one from this season because the season is so good. So I thought, well, where am I going to go emotionally? Which one emotionally do I think of first? And honestly, it's Points of Departure, because it was the first episode of Babylon 5 I ever saw. I hadn't seen any of season 1. I didn't know anything that was going on. And obviously season 1 ends with multiple cliffhangers. You've got Garibaldi, you've got Delenn, and then you turn up here and you're coming in with the same... You've got Sheridan coming in, and he knows none of this either. And the episode does a really, really good job of catching you up if you missed season 1 on what this show is, who these people are. By the end of the episode, I was like, I care about Garibaldi. He hasn't said a word. He's in a coma. I don't know anything about this guy, but I care. And I don't even know what Delenn looks like. She's in this weird cocoon thing, but I really want to know what's going on with that. And I think the episode just does a brilliant job as a season opener of catching up new viewers who maybe hadn't caught the previous season. And I just think having Sheridan there coming in new as well at the same time is one of the big successes of that, and is one of the reasons that all works. But I think it's just probably one of my favorite season openers ever of anything. I think it's really, really good. And so that is why I went with it.
Jerry Doyle's easiest payday. That was.
Yeah. I wish I got paid to sleep.
Yeah. What about you, Baz, then? Even though I don't need to ask this question because I know what you're going to say.
It's a long dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, you are. It is Long Twilight Struggle. It's the 2 scenes, which is Peter Jurusic's Londo as he just watches over the bomb in Narn. Again, like that scene you called out, Medusa, in Coming in Shadows, probably my second favorite episode of the season. He conveys it all in a look. You don't need to say anything. And just the look that he gives when he realizes he's damned. But that is such a powerful moment. But obviously, the moment, I think that which makes the Long Twilight Struggle my favorite episode of B5 ever is G'Kar's freedom speech. Just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. It's so, so good. And I think that those 2 scenes are so powerful and just showed how far Babylon 5 was going to go. And yes, consistently, 3 and 4 are better. But I think the emotional impact, it's those 2 scenes in that episode which shine through for me most.
Yeah. I'm gonna say for me it's Comes the Inquisitor. It's one of my all-time favorite episodes. I love the weirdness of it. I love the kind of theatricality of the episode. A lot of times it's like a 2-piece stage play. And I love how Vehar's lighting and his direction in this episode is some of his best. Vehar's going to go on to do great things in season 3 and 4. And I think Wayne Alexander is just brutally sinister as Jack. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I think Delenn has some really, really, really good stuff in this episode as well. Gets put through the ringer. I think it's just a great, two-piece, for the most part, a two-piece episode. And I love it when JMS writes those scripts where it's stripped back. It's just two characters having to go at each other, and I love that.
Yeah, these are all great choices as well. I mean, that's the thing we said about B5 season 2. I mean, most seasons, to be fair, but with season 2, there are so many great episodes. There's not really a long answer here.
No, there isn't.
Except maybe Long Dog.
Yeah.